makes them, they have to think through, they may evaluate, they may compare, or a loan. When it's a complex product, it's not an impulse purchase. And therefore, you may need to send them multiple messages over multiple days, right? So there you can set up a sequence of messages where on day one, it says, okay, here's some information about the product. Then 2 days later, you may send them another message saying, hey, have you figured out your mind? Do you want to, do you want some other kind of information? Do you want, here are the reasons why? Then 2 days later, here's another update or a special offer. If you choose to do this, here's what's available to you, and so on. And it's just automated, right? So every user, when they're going through their specific sequence in their purchase cycle, right? It's sort of an automated scheduled messages, but on variable time, right? It's variable dependent on a particular user action. Okay. Then beyond that, sort of on the right are re-engagement messages, right? So you have users that were talking to you, they were talking to you before, but then they've gone quiet, and maybe you want to send them a reminder, reactivate them, re-engage them to do certain things, right? In some instances, you may even want to do broadcast, right? Broadcast messaging. You just send out, let's say there's a new press release or a special Diwali offer or something like that that goes out to literally everybody, right? Um, but the other extreme of broadcast messaging is individual and personalized messages, right? So the coolest thing about this medium is that as you engage with users, you can build up a user profile about their preferences, their gender, the products they like, things they like, right? If somebody is a foodie and has been doing a lot of, food transactions versus movie ticket transactions versus, shopping online, then you can send customized or specialized offers to each individual person, right? Think about the power of that, right? Instead of just indiscriminately broadcasting and spamming everyone, if you can really personalize the offer or the messages, it can be incredibly powerful, right? And then targeted promotions as well, right? And the way this targeting works is, as users go through these conversations and they take or they respond to different messages, you can tag them, right? So let's say if there's a promotional offer, and when depending on whether they respond to the credit card or the loan, you can tag them saying, okay, this person likes, needs a credit card, or they like movies, or they like food, restaurants, and so on. And based on those tags, then later on you can run targeted promotions specifically to those subsegment of users based on their interest. So it allows you to do some really, really powerful things, right? And then the third step was sort of building the conversational flow, right? And here it's sort of a back and forth. So this is just a tool that enables you to build that conversation flow, customized to your experience. But it can offer choices to users, and again, you'll see some of that in the demos, where so you send a brief message with a promotional offer, but then the user can respond to it, and based on their response, they get additional information, and each person gets only the information that they're looking for, not sort of the whole thing, right? And because you can personalize it, because you can make it conversational, you don't have to just thrust everything at them, right? And think about it, right? When the best way to think about it is think about natural or normal human conversations, right? When, let's say, if you and I are talking one on one, right? If you ask me a question, I can't say, well, here, take this book, read the whole manual, and then continue the conversation, right? Or here's the brochure, take a look and do it. No, if somebody is saying, well, how much does it cost? Or when is it valid? You just want to answer that question, right? And that's natural, that's normal, that's intuitive, that's what people expect. And when you don't do that, consumers often walk away, right? So it translates into conversion rate drop-offs and things like that. So enabling these detailed conversations has a huge impact, right? So okay, so I think we've sort of just to summarize kind of what I went through. The way to do this, right, is the way to drive messenger marketing is, first you build a community, then you run campaigns, and then sort of drive conversations, right? And I think we are going to switch to a demo in a minute. But what you'll notice, and you can relate each of these steps in the demo that we've done, which is, the first was growing the community, right? That's why we to simplify. In this instance, we asked you to do a missed call, and you got a message back. But it could have been any one of these other things. You could have clicked on a website button. You could have seen a TV or print ad, right? You could have just gotten an email or a text message separately, right? It could have been any of those things. So that's how we built this community. So for the purpose of this demo, there's let's say 100-person community that's been built up, and any messages that we now send will sort of go to this entire community, right? And so the next step that we'll show in the demo is we'll sort of run the campaigns. And then there are a wide variety of different campaigns, many of which have conversations. So you can actually engage in a conversation with the bot, ask for more information, for more details, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to ask my colleague Anandita to just come on up here. And I think here are just some examples of the kind of messages that you'll see. And there's some banking, logistics, airlines, stocks, financial services. And I think we've had some requests as well before this event. So we'll show you through a few of these demos. So bear with us. We'll we're not trying to spam you, but we'll show you. I think it'll help you, even if it's not your industry. I think it'll give you a better idea of different things that you can do with and how to use these messages. Okay. And then after the event, we'll reset it so you won't get any more messages. So don't worry. Okay. All right.
Hi, friends. Is this all making sense so far? Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of these use cases. I've been talking to a few of our friends here, and I've been hearing of multiple use cases. People have trouble engaging with their fans on their Facebook page, or a telecom operator, or Scootzy, for example. They want to engage with their customers. So we've created a few of these demos. Has everybody given a missed call? And are you guys on Messenger? So like Beerud said, I've already created a community, right? These are my engaged customers. Let's just say that, right?
We're just having some network issue. Give us a minute. Yeah. Banking.
This ABC Bank demo has probably reached you. I think it's the net issue. If did you guys connect to the Wi-Fi here? So here, basically, this could be a smart message which talks about, gives the user certain things to do, like increase limit, see last three transactions, or report a fraud right there. So imagine you were sending three different SMSs for these three different use cases, and people were probably not even responding to it. But here you have sent something which is interactive, instant, and people can actually click on these, and you can play with these things, and you will see some of the hard-coded things that we have done there. Uh, Ketan, what is the next one? Do shipment tracking or shipment update. So let's take an example of a courier company. Now, we've all received SMSs from Amazon saying your shipment is out for delivery or it has been dispatched, but there's nothing more to that. Imagine if you could send out a message saying your shipment is getting dispatched. Can you give us time slots? Or maybe Mark saying, I'm not going to be at home, give it to my neighbor. So now that increases the level of engagement uh, that many notches, right? Yeah. Did you guys receive the shipment tracking message on Facebook? No, not yet. I think it's a network thing because, okay. How many of you received it? No, it's on Facebook Messenger. Yeah, both. Yeah. So you have, so maybe there's some latency. Okay, so here, like we have said that you can track your orders. You can either open up a web view for them to go and see the actual tracking, because right now when you get an SMS, you have to actually go to the website and see where it is. Instead of that, we've sent you the messages. You can see it tells you, schedule a time or whatever. The next one can be the airline use case. We should also do Scootsie after that. So that's on SMS only, right? No, not on Messenger. Boarding pass is gone. Yeah, have you got the airline use case? Where you can actually click on a button and see your boarding pass right there, and maybe, whatever your use case may be. So now imagine Jet Airways is sending you those messages anyways, but you can talk back to Jet Airways, or maybe just download your boarding pass right there. So similarly, we've done, who's the Scootsie guy here? Yeah. Can you just push that? Go on. Have you guys received something? Very slow, right? Yeah. Are you on data or Wi-Fi here? I think maybe the Wi-Fi is very slow. Because it's opening for us. But it is? Yeah. Have you got it? Not yet. Coming? You see? No, but trust me, in reality, it's not that slow. Probably the network. Qatar mein, right? Okay. Have you got the Scootsie message? Okay, so maybe you can. Does this help? Have you received it? So what does it say? So it's a message which says, uh, what does Scootsie do? Can you just stand up and tell us a little bit? Updates, yeah. Right. So now for him, what we've done is we've pushed a nice interactive card. What are the action buttons on the card that you see here? Call Rajesh and track package. So what we've done is we've said, for example, somebody's ordered a watch or somebody's ordered a food delivery. We have said that X person is out with your food delivery. Now there are two buttons. Call Rajesh. Suppose that guy is delivering the food, or track your package. Now suddenly that one SMS has become so much more meaningful, right? You can do something with it. Right. Right. No, so it's not just one message. It's also about creating a community and the ability to put or push a lot more. Right. So in the app, okay, I go onto the app and I'm ordering food, and yeah, pretty much you'll send me the notification saying that it's out for delivery or whatever. But there is no community there. Right. You are not able to push a lot more there. Like Scootsie would agree with me. Yes, it's more interactive. You just know what your users want. You might put some feedback mechanism in your app, but that is also very static. It is not dynamic in nature. So yes, you can do that here as well.
So I think there's a bigger point, right? The moment you compare, let's say, messaging with apps, right? The problem is, how many apps do you have on your devices? Just ballpark. 10, 20? Do you have 100? Do you have 1,000? Right? Nobody has that. The point is, the top 10, top 15 use cases will be on the app on the device. Okay. But beyond that, people, as humans, we interact with hundreds of brands. Look at every shirt and pant and store and taxi and brand and e-commerce thing that you buy. We interact with hundreds of brands, but we don't have hundreds of apps. Okay. That's the real problem. The problem is that the app ecosystem is limited because people hate to download apps and download devices, resource intensive, and so on and so forth, right? And that's why there's this big shift to messaging in general. So yeah, okay, today they have an app because they've invested a lot of energy and so on. But the next Scootsie that comes along is going to say, I'm not even going to build an app. I'm just going to make all of that functionality available in messaging, put it in Messenger, because what is the customer doing first? How much time is he spending in Messenger versus on the Scootsie app, right? Versus on the banking app, versus on the airline app, versus on the mall app or the store app or the restaurant app, right? People just don't do that. So the real shift here is, you know, in fact, I have a different slide that I often talk about. But the world sort of moved from, we were in a desktop era for a long time in the mid '80s, let's say, and then in the mid '90s it was the web era where every business had a website, and then in the mid 2000s we went to the sort of the app era where every business had apps, and now we are at the beginning of the bot era, if you will, or conversational era, where you're not going to do these. Yeah, you may have it, but consumer behavior, consumer usage. I mean, you remember, right? Flipkart famously said they're going to shut down their website and just have a mobile app because 80-90% of the usage was happening in the mobile app. And wait a few weeks or months and so on, and suddenly 90% of their usage will be on the messaging app, right? So yeah, I mean, you can take one or two apps here and there and you'll find comparable capability, but this is a much bigger deal where the number of brands you engage with and the frequency that you engage with, it's all going to be in messaging. And you may end up at a point where businesses won't even have apps anymore because it's so much more expensive to build an app than to have these messaging experiences. Okay.
Even with the airline use case, I would like to point out that if you make your reservations on, say, Make My Trip, but Jet Airways wants to reach you with your, ticket, with your boarding pass, it has rescheduled the flight. You may have Make My Trip app, but do you have Jet Airways or KLM or Lufthansa? Would you ever download an airline app just to book a ticket once? You probably would not, but you would probably talk to Jet Airways on Facebook Messenger because you have it anyways, and it's easier to do that, right? So we have one more use case, or do you? I could show them something here. Yeah, there's a movie ticket. Book my show. वो दिखा Here, I had somebody while we do the Book My Show demo. I had somebody from Rajnikant versus CID community on Facebook, which was very interesting. Is that gentleman here? So there was somebody who said, I have this great big fan following, Rajnikant versus CID jokes. Now it has a huge fan following and everything, but he's just not able to post back. And I heard a couple of my friends here saying that they have invested a lot in the Facebook page, but they don't know what to do with it because they have a huge following. But when they post back to them or they want to interact with them, they have no means of doing that. Now imagine a community like this suddenly can post a widget, which says, or a line which says, just click on this and get connected, and instantly a community is set, and you can start messaging more or sending posts or doing interactive stuff, and suddenly your community becomes very vibrant. How many of us have faced that problem that we've invested really well in the Facebook page but don't know what to do with it? You have? So then what do you guys do generally? I mean, when you're pitching to customers, so what is it? 1 million followers on Facebook page, but what is the ROI from there? ROI issues? So imagine if you could just take them, migrate them to Messenger and start interacting with them and probably do referrals, get them to participate. It would get so much more vibrant, right? Do you guys agree with me? Right. There was another person, I don't know, from SAP. There was somebody from SAP who said, what about B2B use cases? Now, I know that a lot of companies build apps. I know Asian Paints, for instance, they build an app to invite their vendors to bid, for tenders and so on. Now, it's an app where people come and they bid the highest or the lowest or whatever, and they win tenders. Now, what if you could do that on Facebook Messenger? Create a community of your internal vendors and so on, and post regular updates like bidding for online trade tenders, payment collection status. A lot of companies who have issues with their internal vendors around payment outstandings, collections, inventory ordering and management, and then security and audit alert reports that you're due for an audit. And then hear their grievances as well. So, so basically, this mechanism is really agnostic, use case agnostic. I mean, you think of a use case and you can actually, wherever you need to engage with customers, this is very lightweight and very handy. Can anybody else think of a use case that we could probably discuss here? Yeah, right. And because it's rich, so then what happens is you can send videos, you can send images, you can do, like a regular video session and so on. So you can have interactive Q&A session, just the regular things, but just right here, you create a community and you never let them go. And then you can cross promote as well, right? Any other use case? Right. So, yeah, we've seen this. Yes, we've seen this. People put these little widgets on websites and say, connect here or go play there. And they put out these forms and you fill those forms and that's the end of it. The problem we as marketers are facing every day is that we just don't know who is our end customer and we get no response from them. They will respond to us when they feel like, but we are not even offering them the right kind of channel to get back to us. Right? And SMS in that respect, yes, people have started putting these tiny links which are really forms, but again, those are not rich in analytics. We don't know who's read them, what is happening with them, and so on. So this, and people are anyways on Facebook, right? You, sir, had a use case, right? Yes, it can be integrated. So you can have a standalone bot. So that's the beauty of it. If you already have an existing bot with certain integrations, you can plug this into your existing bot. Sure. So, what do you have in mind?
A startup doesn't have a community at all, then how would this help in soliciting business?
So, if you have to build a community, you need to have certain growth tools. I think Beerud discussed these growth tools. So, you can start seeding these communities with the help of these growth tools and get your users here. You can probably embed your widget in newsletters that you send. I'm sure there's some traditional mechanism for you to build these communities, right? Currently, what are you using? No. Right. So if you put any of these tiny widgets or maybe do a little bit of email marketing or SMS marketing, you can get people here. And everything else is then content driven. Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to invest in a lot of email or SMS marketing. You can pick up any of these widgets and do it on your website or any other space. Maybe you're doing some Facebook ads or you're doing some Google ads. You can put these there as well. Yeah, we do open SMS, the call client, right?
Yeah, in fact, you can have one-click access to a lot of device things. So you can make a phone call, you can trigger an SMS and or share via WhatsApp, for example. Um, what else? I mean, you can also trigger another app, like post a tweet, make a Facebook post. So all of these actions can be one click to do things, or even open a little web page, right? Somebody asked about a payment gateway. You can absolutely do that in here, where you get a, and I think some of the messages, if you look at the movie ticket demo that you received, if you click on that, it takes you through. You select. So, like say for seat selection, it throws up a little form, and you can select the seat, and then even for the credit card, the payment gateway thing, it's sort of, so it's the existing payment gateway. You don't have to build it new, or even in your case, it's the existing trading platform. You're just triggering. So actually, it's much better, right? Because this pre-formatted SMS is very painful for the user to build it themselves. But here, you could just trigger it and automatically pre-fill it and send it out. Yeah. Ravi? Yeah. So I'm going to ask my colleague Ravi, do you want to come on over and talk about some of the campaigns, the big campaigns that we've done and some of the use cases there? Oh, was there a question? Yeah, yeah. No, in Facebook or WhatsApp and so on, it's like right there. Like the first time you get a message, you actually have to accept before anybody can even send you a message, right? But after accepting as well, yes. So let's say you start abusing the trust. You start sending too many messages. The user can, in fact, if you notice, you can go there and there's like a profile link right on the top right corner where you can block messages and you can report and things like that, right? So the point is there are strong incentives for good behavior, or rather big penalties for bad behavior, which means I think this channel will sustain very well. Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah, I think we just have to share a few more success stories, and we'll actually have a full-on Q&A session. Something quick? Yeah. So, yeah, do you want to? Why don't you take it from
I
here?
think that's a good lead in. So I just want to understand. So we'll talk about the success stories. I think you heard of what is messenger marketing or smart messaging, and overall it's IP messaging, right? When WhatsApp comes, you saw a few demos. So we'll talk about what have we done and what are customers using it for actually. And one of the questions that you asked is, we have HDFC Bank. I think that's the first one, right? This clicker goes right. Yeah. So this talks about a particular campaign that HDFC did. Is Demant here, or his team is here? Somebody from HDFC here. They're there. So they've done a lot of stuff on chat. So you guys can talk a little bit more. But we started engaging banks, especially the use case was initially they started talking to us for Aadhaar, December 31st deadline. Now it's March 31st. So what happens is you already have a customer base. And when you send SMS, and how many of you are from marketing, our marketing area? Can I get it? So most of you are marketeers, IT, you. Any other functions, maybe support? So mainly is marketing and IT, right? So that's the bulk. So what happens is currently you guys are very used to sending, messaging through SMS channels. It costs a lot. Sometimes it's not interactive, and then you already have a user base, and you want to understand, especially when they have to do interactive. You have to tell them go and link, go and register yourself, collect information, right? So that's a big use case. In addition to that, they started off talking to us for those use cases, but they also realized that they can do campaigns and talk to their customers, right? In this case, they did co-branding offers. So they have an opt-in community already of their customer base. They're saying around Diwali, we want to tie up with Flipkart and talk about, in addition to that, co-promote our credit card and so on and so forth. So that was one of the campaigns they did. But we've also done a few campaigns related to Aadhaar for banks. I'm just giving you HDFC as an example. There are several other banks. The other thing has been around searchability, right? Product discovery. So what Titan did is they actually used our bot to build kind of make it create more intelligence and automation, where you can go and check on what you want and enable discover the products. So that was around. We did a campaign to help people use some of our intelligence and smart messaging capabilities to also discover, make product discovery much easier. So that was another use case. And the final one, you did see Book My Show. I'm just giving an example of some of the stuff we have done in Book My Show. They already were using WhatsApp, but they also used Facebook Messenger. And those, most of you from marketing and IT, support function is a big thing. Collecting feedback, I think it's more in support function. The horizontal use cases, how do I collect feedback, right? Recently, we did a campaign with Richfield. So what they do is they've used this to, you called our support function. How was the customer experience? Rate the experience, and then do you have anything else, right? So collecting feedback. So even in this case, they'll send an offer, you send your ticket, and then they'll say, tell us, about your experience, and so they can collect that, and you can rate the feedback of the customer interaction. So the big use cases, and we can talk about more campaigns and open it up. But I think we're seeing a lot of traction in BFSI segment, banks. We're also seeing a lot of traction in educational institutions, in addition to financial institutions. Healthcare is a big thing, so where you're trying to get information across. You want to make it interactive. In fact, a lot of the remote places when they want to do telemedicine stuff like that. So that's a big use case. So we've had some Pharmeasy is working with us. So some of the healthcare companies. The horizontal use cases are more around support, right? How do I make my support more interactive? How do I collect feedback from my customers? What can I do? And in this case, it's also information. Others actually collecting information and making them get into action to do stuff. So those are some of the high-level use cases. And this one was around, um, you know, you can send the same SMS. See, it says that it's an SMS which talks about the delivery notification. But here you can also call an Amazon agent. Again, goes into support, right? Making it more interactive. If you have some issues, you are not unhappy with a thing, or you want to get more information, it makes the stuff more interactive. Yeah, I think we talked about this. Additionally, when you do a booking, you will get your ticket and all the details. Currently, you'll just get a Make My Trips. Or some of you have used Make My Trip WhatsApp application. How many of you have seen some of the stuff on WhatsApp, Make My Trip, right? Recently, they started sending notifications and tickets and everything there. So in addition to that, you can also do Facebook Messenger. So here, you'll send, before you would just send an SMS saying your thing has been booked, click on this link or go check your email. Now you don't have to go to two places. You'll just say, okay, here's your invoice, here's your ticket. Click on this to, eventually do that. So it makes it easier. So, and these are talked about co-branded and forex cards, co-branded promotions, and this is again deep linking some of your stuff to the app. So the key, I mean, we'll open it up for Q&A, but the key takeaway is that this is just starting, and IP messaging is something huge. Facebook Messenger is here and now. There are about in at least 100 million active users in India, though a couple of 100 million people for web and mobile. So instead of, as Beerud had mentioned, the number of apps, Zomato may be a popular app, but there are other apps, even HDFC, and even if you took any bank, Citibank, ICICI, they have about 2 to 3 million active users, maybe 7 million downloads. So how many apps are you going to download? In fact, such prominent banks is to have, a few million active users. Whereas here you have 100 million and growing. WhatsApp is another 200, 300 million. So would you rather get some of the important things that you want with an opt-in in your channel where you are? You might be in WhatsApp, you may be on SMS, you may be on, soon we'll also do an Android inbox, like you have iMessage with RCS. So we are just taking it where your customers are. They don't have to go to an email. They don't have to go, get an SMS notification. So wherever they are, they don't have to download your app. You can start new companies, new ideas. Every time, imagine making people download apps. It's very tough. As Beerud mentioned, you can't download hundreds of apps, right? So you would rather start a company with the functionality and tell them, I don't want you to do an app marketing to make you download apps. It's more about the interaction and what they want and delivering what they want. So that's the intent. What IP messaging is, okay, SMS was there. If you look at Western markets, IP messaging is 90% now, right? It's all on iMessage and so on and so forth. In India, we're there because before 5 years ago, there was no IP messaging. Data rates were costly. Now it's coming up. More people on WhatsApp, more people on Facebook Messenger. So Facebook Messenger is here and now, and then WhatsApp is coming soon. You actually, as 25, 30 businesses are using it, and in this quarter they'll roll it out. So you want to go to a channel where they are, and that's kind of what the end use cases are. It's more around support, feedback, getting feedback, around marketing, joint marketing campaigns with opt-in communities. It's around better product discovery, enabling better commerce and information around commerce. So it's more around, as Beerud mentioned, is marketing support and commerce are the three big use cases, but the horizontal one is more around verticals are finance, educational, and health, initially early adopters. And the cross thing is more around support and feedback, making it more interactive and enabling you to better do customer engagement better. So those are some of the success stories that we've had so far. It's been just a couple of months, but I think we hope to see many more such stories and help you guys better engage customers. And that's what we've been doing. End of the day, uh, we are helping businesses better engage consumers. We don't talk to consumers directly, but we enable messaging services and platforms for key brands like you guys. Most of you are marketeers. And as marketeers, you want to be able to reach wherever the customers are and make it easier for them. And that's kind of what our intent is, to give you tools to make you better engage in a more cost-effective manner. And those were some of the early success stories that we've had. I will open it for Q&A.
Yeah, and just stay here, I guess. Yeah, hi. Okay. You're right. So I think, look, we talked about sort of some basic or structured bots, if you will, right? But there's this next level of complexity, which is NLP or natural language processing based bots. And that's hard in English, and it's even harder in other languages. So I think the high level tip in this quick discussion I can give you, and maybe we can discuss offline, is try to guide the conversation, right? Guide the user in such a way that they're only going to do what you want them to do. right? If they suddenly want to start buying and you don't have a full catalog capability there, well, you can send them to the website. Or if you didn't understand the message, you can say, I'm sorry, I don't understand, but what would you like to do, A, B, or C, right? And then when they put in a response, then you know where to take it. So there's a lot of tips and tricks to sort of put guide rails so that they don't fall off a cliff. They sort of, you take them along a certain path there. So. No, the challenge, well, look, the, the point you're making is the chatbot has to be better, right? Now, your version one chatbot may be limited, just like version one websites and version one apps were limited. That doesn't mean chatbots are bad. It just means the chatbot has to be better. So maybe in your next version, you need to add these capabilities. But in the meanwhile, you can sort of, see, it's okay to have limited capabilities, but don't over represent, right? You don't over promise, under deliver. You just say, look, all I can do is this. I can handle support queries. The moment you say that right in the beginning, nobody's going to say, okay, can you give me a yellow shirt, right? Because you just said I can handle support queries, right? You're not buying. So the important thing, yeah, define the scope, define your capabilities, right? You don't want the Siri problem, right? Siri says ask me anything, and when you ask anything it can't answer it, right? You want to say, look, suppose it said I can tell you the time and the nearing restaurant and maybe a recipe, ask me anything about that. Okay, now you already have a mental model saying this is all you can do, right? So it's that kind of thing. Like, again, when you go to a McDonald's restaurant, the guy doesn't say, okay, you can have a discussion on the philosophy of life with me, right? He just says, okay, I can give you a burger. I mean, what do you want, right? And it's just one of those five options. So that's the way to kind of limit the scope, limit the room for error, and then it's good enough until the next version of your bot has these other capabilities. Sorry. Sure. I think we have some screenshots actually right here that we have in the appendix. So let me just show you, which might. So we have a lot of tools, right? And these are just a few quick snippets. So this is sort of the campaign creation tool, right? So for example, you define how you want to send the message, who do you want to, what's your target audience, what is the content of the message that you want to send. You review it and then kind of send it, right? So this is literally how you kind of send a campaign. For example, um, these are the things you can do when you're sending a campaign. You can embed rich media, make it interactive, um, different call to actions, and so on. I think this is how you do the sequencing and the scheduling. Remember, I was mentioning earlier. So you could say, like, say after a certain event, right? Let's say you say sign up for a newsletter about cameras and let's say about photography and about electronics, right? And then if they sign up for photography, then you can set up a predefined sequence of messages that go out at scheduled times after that event, right? Or you can actually literally schedule it, like on Sunday morning, or like say on Friday afternoon, send movie ticket offers, right? So you can kind of define it that way. Of course, there are reports, analytics to track effectiveness of those campaigns, and so on. So these are just a few
Is
snippets.
there any specific thing that you're looking for in the dashboard, or booking or polling? Okay, booking platform.
Yeah, so the message logs, right? The conversational logs, and yeah, it's not in the screenshots here, but you know, I think I should have mentioned. Look, we have okay. This is the comprehensive stack, the set of tools that we offer, right? So at the lowest layer are a whole bunch of raw messaging APIs that a lot of businesses use. Above that is the bot platform, right? So this is where the conversational logs that you're talking about, it's available. There's a lot of different things here, right? The channels you want to publish to, look at the logs, the analytics, active users, and all that kind of stuff. Even the conversational flows. And there's an advanced tool where you can build NLP bots. You can actually code it. So even your developers You may want to add integrations to your backend booking system, transaction system, ERP system, and so on. So all of that's possible. And then above that is the campaign tools, right? So today we literally just focused on this top layer, right? About the marketing aspect of it. But there's a lot there that we can show.
Yeah, anything that happens, we can actually show. The database is there, and we can show you anything you want to see. But it depends on what exactly you want and what type of reporting do you want. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. So it depends on what you want and who you want to address it to. So yeah, definitely you can do that.
So just want to know that we can import out the stuff we what we have goes through with the messaging and all that stuff. We have generated some databases.
Right, right.
That databases
I
can
mean,
be
if you have a .csv file or whatever, I mean, we
Yep,
can
yep,
import anything. Yeah. So different from whom? Yeah, so obviously this is going to be cheaper than SMS, right? Because SMS you have IUC and all that stuff. So end of the day, it's more around what you want to use, how you want to use it. So it's going to be much cheaper. It could be half, it could be whatever it is, like two-thirds. So depending on your use case and what you want and how many API integrations you want to do and stuff like that. But definitely it's going to be much, much cheaper than SMS because you don't have the IUC.
This platform is pretty great for customer retention, but can we use this for customer acquisition as well?
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things we talked about, right? Once you create an opt-in community, so end of the day, think about it, right? If your stuff on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, what type of messages would you like to receive? You want to receive stuff that matters to you. As we said, you may interact with 100 brands, but you may care about 10 brands, right? So end of the day, even our pricing will be around stuff that you have matched. We call it matched because you're on Facebook and active, right? And once you're active and you're opted in, only then we'll charge you. Because what's the point of sending it where you don't care about it and it's there in your inbox and you're looking at it? So once you're matched and you're opted in, then we'll do it. So it's whatever you want to opt in. So once you have built a community and on opt in, then I want to receive such message, I can get it. And the thing about this high degree of user control. Once SMS comes, you can't turn it off. It's coming from spam. You can't do anything about it. Whereas here, all I need to do is block the user. So if you're on Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp and you're getting a message from a brand you don't care about, you just block the brand. So it's more important you get the opt-in and not do spam, right? So, but as far as you build a community and reach out to them after they've opted in, there's no problem at all. Yeah.
So one second, if I understand your question right, you're saying, well, if they have to opt in, then I'm already acquiring them. How do I acquire them in the first place, right? So the way to think about it is, okay, for simple products, impulse purchase and so on, okay, you may send out SMS campaigns, email campaigns, because they're, you can literally spam millions of people, right? So that's not what Facebook Messenger and other messaging channels are for, okay? However, when you think about a complex product, let's say buying a car, nobody just says, okay, I saw an ad, I'm going to click on it, buy a car, right? So a trick might be to create a car community or a racing community or something. And you get people to opt in to this proxy community, which is the first step of your funnel. Then you engage them over time and you may send tips about cars and different offers and different deals and why is a Merc better than, a Honda and so on and so forth, because it takes education. Or take insurance, for example, or take, if you're selling something to moms, right? So you build a community, figure out a way to engage that community, so they are opting into that community. Your acquisition problem still remaining, but now it becomes much easier because you set up all these sort of engagement campaigns, which then leads to an acquisition, the purchase actually.
Just a follow-on question on that one. Is this integrated with the Facebook advertising tools by any chance so that that can,
Yeah, so
if
actually,
I'm making an effort there, then get people here directly?
I don't know if it was in the screenshot here, but yeah, Facebook ad tools. What's that?
Growth tools.
Yeah, I know. So I'm just getting back to the growth tools here. So I think, well, it's not here, but what? If,
Send to messenger or messages.
no, no, no. Ad
Facebook ad.
tools. So Facebook ads have specific JSONs, which with one click link right into the bot and deep link into the bot, and you can do better tracking and better integration. So the answer is yes. I mean,
See, let's for example take it this way that she is selling cars and she build up a community for this purpose. I'm doing car perfumes. I build up my own community for perfumes or whatever you can say, a deodorant for cars. Is it possible that I have access, we have mutual access to communities?
talk to her.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, say, have you worked out in this area? Like, say, we could approach a community who's already doing cars. I'm doing a product, which is a car suitable product. And yeah, exactly.
Talk about the genesis of Gupshup, right? In 2000, way back, like, 10 years ago, Beerud, was it? So we started off as an SMS community when now data was there and all that, right? So we actually built active opt-in communities about 1 million users. So the thing is, you can build communities, and we have experience doing that, but now it's a different thing. But end of the day, it's you're talking about cross-promoting as communities.
Absolutely.
Right? You can have an electronics community that people are interested in electronics. It could be community about sports and health, right? So once you have that, and somebody wants to market some wellness
Ah,
product to that,
ah.
you could do that. So it's cross-promoting again within communities, and we do that across communities. So it's different, yeah.
Is there any limit to the community? Like, if I have 14 million users in Facebook, and at one go I want to send broadcast message or anything on that. So, is there any limit to the community there?
uh, there's absolutely no limit to creating the messenger communities, but it's important to understand the difference, right? And I think Anu mentioned it a little earlier. If you have a Facebook page with 14 million followers, okay, very likely you have no ability to communicate with these 14 million people, right? Because Facebook has a lot of filters, and it's a combined feed, and they rank different messages and different posts in different feeds. So when you actually post a message on your own page, very likely it only reaches 10% of those many followers. The great thing about this is that you have a direct and a private channel to each of your sort of opted in members. Okay, so in that sense, it's much more effective, much better. It's 100% delivery rate compared to a Facebook follower fan page, right? So the best thing to do is, if you have those 14 million followers, start migrating them to a messenger community, because then you have unfiltered, unrestricted access to all of those people. And so long as you're sending good content, you can, make sure it reaches everybody and you get real engagement. These are real members of the community, rather than just somebody who liked a page 3 years ago but never sees your message anymore.
Now, next question is like, if I'm taking it, I'm into cricket, okay, and I'm taking this bot for live scores and updating the recent news on sports, right? For my website, if I'm taking an API, now for this bot thing, do I have to take an API separately for live scores, or does it work? It how does it work? I mean,
On the back end, it's the same thing, right? Everything about the bot is the front end experience is different, but on the back end, so let's say if you bought an API, you have a token, right, an API key that they give you, and using that you make calls and they bill you for that, right? So your website and your bot would use the same API key to get the same live score feed to then send it through the bot. It's just that the front end has changed, the back end would still be the same.
now if I'm not taking for my website, so in with you guys, you have an API thing also, or I mean, I have to take it separately. API, you have APIs also.
Yeah, so we have, I mean, every aspect of our platform
So we
has
can link
API.
APIs and bot together, and we can.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been really great and speaking a lot about Facebook since being the most used platform. What could be some of the other used platform apart from all the social messaging apps and all like or other things being there? Platforms like maybe say LinkedIn or anything as such like could they actually be used to tap into the professional people or people of more of the corporate, since I coming from a background more into academics and education, to exactly reaching out to people as such, not only on LinkedIn, apart from these, are there any other things, and how could this be scaled up there?
So the couple of things. So LinkedIn specifically, they haven't opened up APIs for messaging, right? So you can't create these chatbot or conversation experiences there. One thing that we touched upon briefly, but is a really powerful channel, is web push notification, right? And we have a demo. If you want to see just offline, find one of us, and we can show it to you. But what that does is, uh, if a user doesn't have Facebook Messenger or doesn't even have WhatsApp, right? They have no app installed. You can still send them a notification, and it shows up in a chat-like interface, right? And it looks like an app, but it's not an app. There's no download involved, and you can keep sending notifications. So it has sort of 100% coverage. I mean, all you need is a data plan, so long as the user has a data connection, which these days everybody does. So that's a really powerful channel of web push notification. I think, I mean, apart from that, what else? I mean, all the channel. I mean, there's like
Agree.
30 plus channels. It's
All the
already a lot. Yeah.
Also, sorry, just to cut for a minute. This is the next question, something different. When getting onto all these channels and all, like, and actually having a huge community already not built much, but trying to build in of active people, what could be some of the conversion rates and all after having a set target audience and all in mind? Maybe take the channel, the target audience could be relating to movie tickets as shared like that. So if you could share some of the conversion rates, if you'd be looking
So
to.
sure. So I think for the onboarding campaigns, right? Meaning to drive from SMS into the opt-in, or to drive from email to opt-ins, yeah, or on Facebook in particular, there's something called customer match, where we can send the first message through Facebook Messenger and then the users opt in, right? So we've had some good success, right? So generally, on the SMS side, it tends to be a little low, though ours were higher, about sort of 1 to 2% conversion rates. But when you do customer match, it's about 10 to 15% conversion rate, which is huge, converting to opt-in, right? Emails also kind of varies and so on. But once they are opted in, the engagement and response rates are much higher, right? So I think those have been much, much better.
Yeah, to add to that, there are, it varies by use case, but sometimes when you have first name, last name, which Facebook asks for, then your conversion rates can even go up to 30%. So it all depends on what data you have and what use case it is.
Yeah. Hello, Beerud. This is Vishal Sanghavi. We are into internet telephony business. I want to just validate my idea, which just sparked right now in the mind. Like, we creating channel and we give us a free minutes to the people. If somebody want to speak to any country, people, so we give them a WebRTC tools over there, icon. So when person will click on that icon, they directly our WebRTC dial will open up and they can speak it. And that way, if we give a free minutes, like 2 minutes, and then people are satisfied, we can tell them, okay, now we can buy it for the talk time. So whether such kind of idea can be roll out business model through this way.
And quick question: the WebRTC, is that an app that the user has to
No,
have?
it's our, we are building the, completely, my developer is here, just you can
Okay.
explain
So
about
why
it.
don't we sort of connect offline just
Okay,
after
yeah,
this
sure.
event and so on? But in general, yeah, look, the act of making the phone call is one thing, but oftentimes there's a lot of engagement and other things. There are deals and offers and other things that you want to do. So, got it. So then it's easy. Then actually it's perfect, right? So okay, so then you can do the whole experience through a messaging app, right? Because all the interactions, the offers, the coupons, and then there's a link. Like I was mentioning earlier, if you can have a link to instantly post on Twitter or post on Facebook or make a phone call, it could also be open this web dialer and make a phone call. So all of that can be instant, one click away. Yeah.
Hello, so this is Prem here. Presently, I have a very vibrant and a very active community on my WhatsApp communities. Like I have around 3 to 4 very active communities with over 200 members. Now, so far, I have used WhatsApp, like Facebook Messenger and Telegram and Slack for making bots. But I find it very difficult to build bots for WhatsApp. So, like, though the session is for Messenger, but I still want to ask you that have you got any options for WhatsApp Messenger bots for WhatsApp?
So I mean, we- okay, they haven't publicly opened up APIs. So it's not just difficult; it's impossible to build a bot, right? However, I mean, we talk to them, and yeah, I think let's put it this way: it'll be possible soon to do that.
I have received the same email, but then they aren't like giving any fixed time in the near future.
So the way WhatsApp is doing is initially they opened it up for about 16 users. This was last summer worldwide. So of which about there were 3 or 4 enterprises in India, and now there are about 135 enterprises that have enabled it. So anyone can send a form and fill it out, but they have to accept, right? So currently, I mean, WhatsApp as a company is just 52 people. So they're still the same. They don't want to change. So they have of which 46 developers and 6 non-developers. So they don't have time to interact with any business, be it a small business, even companies that are mid-tier companies in India. I haven't heard back from them, right? Even banks and stuff like that. So the thing with WhatsApp is they want to work with partners to scale. Initially, they have picked partners from Latin America and US, in Asia and Europe. So it's 135, and so definitely if it's a small business with 200 people, they're people with banks who have responded and heard back, because they don't have the bandwidth to scale. It'll just be an API they'll publish and they'll say do it. So I think they plan to open it up in this quarter, but we don't know when. But even if they open it up, they're not going to answer to every business. They don't have the capability, so they just put it on the website. They say do what you want with it, right? But then that's when we come in, because where we do is we've been working with them. They use us. All the A2P messaging in India alerts go through us. Because we are headquartered in Silicon Valley, we work with them a lot. And so we built a relationship over the years, and they took input on what templates to do even for these 16 things. So eventually when they come, we can help you, because especially if you're already using us for SMS and Facebook Messenger and so on and so forth, we can add this. But separately for a small business, I don't think so. They'll interact directly with small business because they don't have the bandwidth to do that. So yeah.
Hi. If I'm from a news channel, say BBC or something, and I want people to see live streaming, I have so many likes, and I want actually live streaming on through iBots. Is it possible?
Sent out a video update, right? One of the messages should be a video. Now that was a static video, but I'm pretty sure it can be streamed as well.
Live streaming?
Yeah, streaming is live streaming, right? As in the end user, the client doesn't care how it's being streamed. So it could be live streaming too. And yeah, I think right? So yeah, I think the answer is yes. So you can send alerts, to, hey, reminder, remember to watch this show. Yeah, so this was just served, but it can be streamed as well and live streamed equally. Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, right, you don't need an app. It is just a channel, a news channel, and you get alerts and you get snippets, and some may be live, some may be recorded. It doesn't matter. In fact, again, if you just connect with us offline, we could probably show you a demo later today or tomorrow maybe about this, because there's not much. Yes.
This web push messages that you're talking about, they are like that block and allow thing that we see on the browser or something else?
Sort of, right? So these days, every media organization, especially on the web, yeah, so they do the block and allow. I usually just block it, right? Because it's sort of, because you visit a website once, you don't want it to be coming again and again. What we've done is something clever where, it it replicates the messaging experience. So it's not like a website that you may not go often, but it's a messaging thing. And so the general idea is, if you can move a lot of your business messages from SMS or from email onto sort of a different surface, then you kind of declutter your SMS inbox by moving it there. So it's a single messaging thread. And in fact, we'll show you a demo just after. I think our team can just show it to you. So you should take a look.
It's different technology. It's not the browser
No,
notification.
it is the same foundational element. It's the same. Web push is web push. There's just one way to do it, but the user experience is much better and more delightful. Yeah.
Hi. So, as a Facebook page owner, Let's just say I'm having a follow of like 10,000 people, and I cannot send them messages. Facebook doesn't allow you to send messages to your follower unless they don't send me any messages. So how do I get in touch with those people? Do I have to run like opt-in campaigns or something like that?
Well, so on your Facebook page, I mean, you can maybe pin a message, right? So anybody who comes there would see it, and just hope that over time they will all come back and check it again and so on.
So there is no like quick formula wherein I can just push one messages to all my followers. Like, okay.
Right. No, I think, see, on the social media side, who you can send to and not send to, it's based on a lot of algorithms, right? Because it depends on the feed and who else are their friends and what else is happening in their lives. So everybody gets an algorithmic feed, which means it may or may not. I mean, there's no definite way to do it, right? So on the social media side, there's no guarantees to begin with. Even on Twitter, I mean, when you put a tweet, I mean, it may or may not show up in your friend's feed, or even if it shows up, it's along with 1,000 other tweets. You just scroll by, they may not see it.
So we have to run some kind of a opt-in campaign or
So
something.
you can have to run it, maybe do multiple posts,
Yes,
or
yes.
better still, figure out an engaging thing, right? Like maybe if it's a page where people like certain kinds of content,
Yes.
you put some really interesting content that will, that a lot of people like. So then it surfaces up, and then, but it also includes a link to the opt-in community kind of thing.
Thank you.
First of all, very thankful for both of you because the senior team is here. And so my actually I have two questions.
What team? I'm sorry, I missed.
The senior team is here, right?
Sure.
So
Yes,
because you guys are the co-founders and
yeah, I think
a team of 135 people, and then you two guys are here. It's actually a good thing for us. So yeah,
it's a team of 150 people, but
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I have actually two questions. One is, have you guys done anything into real estate, something? Because real estate is something which is not an impulse buy, which is something which is prolonged. People take around a month or 2 months to buy it, right? So they need more information. So have you guys done anything into real estate? That's my first question. And the second question is, you being in this business since more than a decade, right? More than 10 years. So what are the few human psychological insights that you have catch along your journey? And if you can share them, that would be great.
Well, first question on real estate. Um, we talk to a lot of brokers, builders that want to broadcast, and some of them just want to spam users, which, at least in this medium, you cannot do. What we recommend is they could maybe create an opt-in community of real estate deals and offers, so people who are interested in projects, can get updates, and then once in a while can also get new project launches and so on. So we've done a little bit, and we can talk about it. Um, I think psychological insights, I don't know, we're still sane after a lot of years of startup life. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm just joking, but I don't know what you were looking for, but it's a very long conversation about entrepreneurial life. If you have like one or two specific questions, I'm happy to answer. But
So probably while maybe you're designing the flow of any kind of a communication, let's say someone puts up hi, hello, hi, and then what should pop up and what should be the second thing, what should be the second thing, third thing, something like that. So I think one of the thing which you shared recently, it was that you give them like you can ask me questions for a specific problem, and then I can only ask just because of the specific, just into the specific things, right? So something like that.
oh, I see. Okay, so how to design a specific campaign and sort of human insights.
Because that'll depend on the insights, right? Again.
No, I think taking it a bit higher, right? So there are different techniques and philosophies. Why do you keep going back to Facebook, or why do you keep going back to a certain thing? So the one of the human tendencies is to, you want to give them something that they want to know about or curious about, and a lot of things. There are a lot of things go into why is WhatsApp more successful than thousand other apps, right? Why is Facebook successful? So it's a combination of UI. It's a combination of making it engaging and making it, giving a hook for them to keep checking it again and again. So if it's not interesting to them, either it's a user generated content that's interesting in Facebook, it's a community of, you want to know what's going on in your friends' lives, the social thing. In this case, if you're creating a follower or anything, you have to create some interesting content that is relevant to your user base. So think about yourself, right? Where do you go back again and again? So that's the key thing in any flow, anything, make it easy for people to go back and check something that they want for the target audience. So it's figuring out what that target audience wants and what's a hook that you can get back, and creating flows that are easy use to do that. So that's kind of what I would say. It's high level, but end of the day, it depends on who you're focusing on, what you want to do, and doing that.
Thank you.
Well, any of political campaigns, right?
Political campaigns.
Yeah.
And we do rely on WhatsApp groups. So we create multiple groups, but it's a tedious process. So
Right.
can we have some engagement
So
on
Facebook Messenger is a good way, right? Because the thing is, obviously, the WhatsApp is not a platform; it's not opened up the APIs. But you could use Messenger to look at if you have enough opt-ins and people are interested. So we could do that. So that's an area where you can focus on political campaigns and getting feedback. The perfect use case to do that. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And my question is that I understand that this is more involved with the community thing, wherein you create a community and you then give a service or a support. But what if at the middle of the night or anything, most of the people are on Facebook on the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, and suddenly if they like a product, if they want to call up somebody immediately, but at the end of the day, India is a touch, feel, and then you take a decision kind of a market. So in that perspective, if they want to call up, is there any integration wherein I get a call or my support team gets a call and we pick up the a real interaction is always we can finish the traction into a deal. So is it possible, or have you thought about it? Is
Yeah,
there
you
any
saw in the demos that were shown, right? There's in SMS is just a SMS notification of the link.
Okay.
Whereas if you send it to Facebook, you have a call button where you can put a,
immediately call and anybody
Yeah.
who's there available?
Have a
If I'm
call.
not a 24/7 call center or something
it
like that.
depends on what you have in the back end, but we can enable it in the message interface to have a call.
All right,
yeah.
that's integrated.
That Scootsie demo that we sent a while ago, that has a link which says call Rajesh. If you actually click that link, it would connect.
Yeah, that's exactly my question, because that is again a delivery which is real time, which is happening.
Correct.
I'm talking about something in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock or something like that.
How does that matter?
And my
right? So
customer service.
Think about it this way: the user would come into the bot and just ask him, saying, "I need help," and it says, "What do you need help? Is it about a transaction, or is it an emergency, or SOS, or whatever?" When they click one of those buttons, it connects to the right place in the call center.
Correct.
Right, but
I'm going to say I'm not having a call center. Let's say I'm a medium-sized business. Anybody who's available,
Correct.
is a trigger.
Whatever it is, I'm
possible.
saying as far as the technology is concerned, there is a button. When they click on it, it connects. Now,
Great.
who to call is up to you, right? But I'm saying the user experience can be constructed in this way, where from a message, it can instantly connect a phone call to wherever you want it to connect.
Great, thanks.
Sure.
As long as you have a provision. Thank you.
Okay, I know there are a lot of questions. How are we doing on time and so on? Okay, two last questions. I know there's everybody can smell the pizza,
Yeah, I got
Okay, just bear with us for a couple of questions. And by the way, there's a lot of our colleagues here, so we'd be happy to answer questions as well.
Right. So I have a couple of questions. One is, so I understand in smart messaging, you are using the customer match of that Facebook gives you. Can you also leverage Facebook's targeting, like demographic-based targeting or interest-based targeting to reach out to customers?
Yes, so Facebook has opened up a lot of capabilities where you can construct targeted audiences. In fact, the most extreme form, which is really amazing, is you can give a list of your users, okay, and say, find me other people like this.
So that is something that Facebook has on their advert platform, right? So
Yeah, but the challenge is, see, at some level, a lot of things we built are on top of Facebook, right? So they provide some capabilities, but you also have other profile information from your database, from your transaction history, from your conversation logs, and so on. So all of that can only come together in a platform like ours that you're using for marketing, right? So anyway, if your question was, what does Facebook provide? They offer, different demographic criteria and so on.
My question was more on, so let's say I push 10,000 customers on smart messaging. Can I also add a demographic layer? Let's say I want to target customers only in Delhi.
Yes.
Can I do that through Gupshup?
Yeah. So yes, I think there's several things, right? One is that they provide some default attributes. I mean, anytime somebody logs in, we already get name, gender, locale. You can, in the conversational flow, ask them, right? Give us your like a map location, which they click one button. You can even capture location. You can capture other kinds of psychographic attributes and so on. And what happens is you tag these users, right? So through our tools, we tag these users, and these could be, like I said, either default demographic tags or your own custom personal tags. And then later on, when you're running a targeted campaign, you can run it to a subset based on these tags.
So can I target based on the tags that Facebook has, somebody's Facebook profile?
Yes.
I can do that through Gupshup.
Yes. So it'd be Facebook tags as well as your own tags and a combination of those. Yeah.
Okay. And on the analytics front, I think it's something somebody's already asked. So there's basic analytics like how many people opted in and how many people accepted and things like that. On the other, like if you want to dive deep into that, can a developer, let's say, go in and uh, say like get insights as to how, like what kind of conversations is the bot not able to reply to, or
So
what?
sure. So there's multiple things we offer, right? One is literally every event can be passed off to an endpoint that you might have, or we have logs, conversational logs that you can track. Now, conversational analytics is not a simple and a solved problem, right? Because where did the conversation break? It's not easy to tell just by looking at it. So I don't want to overrepresent what we have. I mean, we do have logs, and you can run analytics on it, and you can at least detect whether it reached, let's say, a specific milestone or not.
My question is more like, can I add a layer onto it and bring in my own conversation analytics onto your
Yeah, I mean,
platform?
the
And
moment I'm sending every event to you, you can do what you want with it, right?
okay,
So,
all right, thanks.
yeah, I think so. Was there? All right. So firstly, thanks everybody for coming. I think hopefully you guys found it useful. Yeah, does it sound exciting? How many of you are going to start with messenger marketing? So good. Many hands here. So okay, thank you everyone. Like I said, we are around, pizzas here. Please enjoy. Okay, thanks again.
Yeah, guys, we're all here. So anybody has specific questions, please find us, and we'll be happy to answer all of them. Thank you.